Hello, and welcome back to another episode. So in this episode, I will be sharing with you the vitamins that you need to pay attention to if you are on a plant-based or a vegan diet. Now, I know that this is a hot topic, and some people wonder, I want to go plant-based, but I'm not sure if I can get all of my vitamins, my nutrients. Is there anything that I should be paying attention to? Any blood tests that I should be getting checked periodically? And are there any supplements that I need to take? Not to worry, I have you covered in this episode. So let's get right into it. So for those of you that don't know, I have been plant-based for many years, probably 7-8 years now, and I help people transition to a more of a plant-forward diet. I don't really like to use labels so much, but I encourage people to eat a plant-heavy, plant-forward diet. If you choose to eat some animal products here and there or whatever you choose, diet should be an individualized decision, conversation, discussion based on your specific health history, risk factors, age, and things like that. But I love talking about plant-based nutrition and health. And so I'm so excited to share this information with you. So the first vitamin that we're going to talk about is the one vitamin that you cannot get consistently on a plant-based diet, and that is vitamin B12. Vitamin B12 is found in animal products. I've heard some say that you can get B12 from, this is what I've been hearing on the street from people that are vegan. They say, oh, well, you can get B12 from nutritional yeast, or you can get it from, I think I've heard sea moss and like fortified food. Those foods are not reliable sources of vitamin B12. So if you're plant-based, vegetarian, vegan, you do need to take a supplement, and you should have your B12 level checked. It's a simple, easy blood test that your primary doctor can order for you in the office, and that way you at least know your levels. So I definitely recommend, if you've never had your B12 checked, to get it checked and then make an informed decision about how much to supplement, whether you need to supplement based on that. But if you don't eat any animal products at all, you definitely do need a vitamin B12 supplement. So with regards to B12, it is stored in your body for a long time. So if you go vegan, fully vegan on January, and you don't supplement, your level's not going to have dropped significantly by February or March, for example, right? So it's not one of those things that it's going to drop significantly very quickly. It actually takes a while to lower the B12 level if you're not supplementing once you switch to a fully vegan diet. But definitely get your blood work checked. Highly recommend that. And I keep an eye on mine. I get mine checked every year. And it does fluctuate up and down depending on how much supplementation I'm actually taking. I take a vitamin B12 supplement regularly. My goal is to take it regularly. It's about 2,500 micrograms a week that I take, but the dose could be a daily dose, 250 to 500 micrograms a day, or it could be anywhere up to 2,500 a week. It all depends on what your levels are, like I say, and specifically what your diet is. So I am not making any recommendations for what dose you need to supplement, but that if you are plant-based, vegetarian or vegan, you should be checking your level of vitamin B12, and you should be considering a supplement. You should be taking a supplement, because the levels of B12, even in the fortified foods, like some of the cereals and the plant-based milks, the nutritional yeast, is just not a reliable source of B12. Okay, so that's the first thing, B12, super important. The second vitamin is vitamin D. Now, vitamin D is a very important vitamin for your immune system. It also plays a role in bone health. Vitamin D is made in the skin from cholesterol as a result of sun exposure. So when you go outside in the sun, you're exposed to the UVB rays, and the cholesterol gets converted to vitamin D in your skin. Now, if you're a person of color, you have melanin in your skin, that reduces the synthesis of vitamin D. So people of color are at increased risk for vitamin D deficiency, because melanin decreases the absorption of UVB light. And as far as sources of vitamin D in a plant-based diet, unfortunately, there are not many. There are some foods that are fortified with vitamin D. For example, orange juice sometimes has vitamin D fortified orange juice, or some cereals are fortified with vitamin D, but there aren't very many sources. The main sources of vitamin D, honestly, are animal products like egg and animal products, but I do recommend, I take a vitamin D supplement, and especially if you're a person of color, regardless of your diet, you should be getting your vitamin D level checked at your primary care doctor's office anyway, and make an informed decision as far as to whether you need to supplement and what dose you need to supplement. Now, I have had to take vitamin D supplement for years now, and my level has always been checked pretty frequently. And at one time, I actually had to take the really high dose, the 50,000 IU per week. And then after that, I take like a daily dose of vitamin D. So based on your levels, that'll give you some information as to how much you should supplement. But that's an important vitamin to pay attention to if you want a plant-based diet. And then even if you're not on a plant-based diet, it's important to get your vitamin D level checked because people of color, period, are at risk for vitamin D deficiency. And I see this actually quite often, in primary care and hospital-based practice. Of course, I'm not seeing people that are plant-based. They have regular, standard American diet. And vitamin D deficiency seems to be so common. And so definitely recommend to get that checked and consider supplementation. Now, the third micronutrient to pay attention to on a vegan or plant-based diet is omega-3. Omega-3 fatty acids, the high sources of omega-3 fatty acids really are flax seeds, walnuts, those are the plant-based sources, and chia seeds. And as far as animal-based food, fish is a high source of omega-3. But if you're on a plant-based diet, you don't want to eat fish, not to worry. There is algae-based omega-3 supplement that you can purchase. So you don't have to buy the fish oil omega-3 supplement. You can buy the algae-based one, and there are a few online, and you can just buy one. Some come in a spray, then some come in a capsule form. I don't have a particular brand that I recommend. I just recommend just go online and see which resonates with you. And also keep in mind that on a plant-based diet, there is a concern that you may not be getting enough omega-3 fatty acids. So there are different types of omega-3 fatty acids. And the one that you consume in your diet is called ALA. And so once you eat ALA, it's supposed to get converted to EPA and DHA in the body. However, there's some data to show that plant-based sources of ALA are not converted to EPA and DHA as readily as animal-based sources. And so that's why it's important to consider an omega-3 supplement specifically that has EPA and DHA in it. And so how I get omega-3s in my diet is I put flax seeds. I buy the ground flaxseed meal and I put that in smoothies. I use chia seeds in smoothies, and then walnuts is like a regular staple for me in my salads. So I try and get these foods in every day, sometimes every other day, but trying consistently to get plant-based sources of omega-3 in my diet, as well as from time to time, I will take an omega-3 supplement. So those three are the main vitamins, micronutrients of concern to pay attention to monitor, to consider supplementation of if you're on a plant-based diet. That's vitamin B12, definitely need to supplement. And then vitamin D, depending on your level, when you get your blood level checked and depending on your specific diet, that's one to consider supplementation. And then omega-3 is another one to consider supplementation. Okay, so those are the big three. And contrary to what I think a myth has been going around, although more people are open to plant-based now, but I know that some in the meat-based world seem to think that a plant-based diet is deficient on so many nutrients. Like, you're not going to get this, that, and the other. And that is just not true. So pay attention to the three that I just mentioned. Make sure you have your blood work checked. Consider supplementation where necessary. Pay attention to the foods that you're eating and try and eat more of those foods if your levels are low or if you need to get more of those specific nutrients in. And last but not least, I wanted to touch on two more nutrients, calcium and iron. So calcium, you remember back in the day, they used to have these commercials about drink milk and get calcium, and they made everybody think that the only way to get calcium is by drinking cow's milk. But come to find out that cow's milk is a terrible source of calcium, and that cow's milk does not reduce the risk of osteoporosis and does not build strong bones. Go figure. It lied to us. But anyway, there are so many better plant-based sources of calcium. It is unbelievable. Now, I'm sure you know 98% of the calcium is stored in our bones, and calcium is an important mineral for bone health, heart health, as well as nervous system function. So the main plant-based sources of calcium are green leafy vegetables. That's your collards, kale, spinach, rhubarb, and then also broccoli is a good source of calcium, as well as beans are a fairly good source of calcium, as well as almonds are good sources of calcium. So the one thing to be cautious of with regards to plant-based sources of calcium in greens is that some greens have a compound called oxalic acid in it, which reduces the absorption of the calcium. And the foods that are high in oxalic acid are collards, rhubarb, sweet potatoes, spinach, and beans. Those foods are high in oxalic acid, and oxalic acid reduces the calcium absorption. But not to worry, there's a way around that. All you have to do is boil the foods. So if you cook them, which most people do, I'm sure you're not eating raw collard greens. You cook them, boil them, that significantly decreases the oxalic acid content, so you don't really need to worry about that. A good rule of thumb is to every day try and get some green leafy vegetables in. You can put kale in your spinach, put kale in your smoothie. You can use collard greens. Like, just try and get a good variety of green leafy vegetables every day. 1 serving, 1 cup is a good place to start to get calcium. But no, you absolutely do not need to get calcium from milk. You don't need to drink milk for calcium, and milk is actually harmful for the bones. It actually leaches calcium from the bones. It increases your risk for osteoporosis. There was a study that looked at bone health and risk of osteoporosis in individuals that ate regular diet, meat diet versus vegetarian versus vegan, and they did not find that the animal-based diet decreased the risk for osteoporosis. And so that's an important myth to kind of just bust out the gate, that you need to drink milk for calcium. And it's funny because this myth is so pervasive that even registered dietitians are still taught that milk is a beneficial food substance for humans, which is absurd to me because it's a cow's breast milk. And it's like, we're human. Why are we drinking cow's breast milk? I even had a registered dietitian at a former job of mine try to get in an argument with me and tell me that milk is such a nutritious substance. She could not understand why I would suggest that a patient who was having GI symptoms, why I would suggest that he consider cutting out milk, when I guess she didn't know that most people of color are lactose intolerant and we're not really supposed to be drinking cow's breast milk. But anyway, I digress. Just keep that in mind. That myth is so pervasive that even the training schools are teaching registered dietitians that people need milk, which is just absurd to me. We do not need milk, and milk is actually very harmful. I'm going to do more videos about how terrible milk is. If there's one thing that you want to cut out of your diet today and you want to see tremendous benefits to your health, I would say milk. Cut drinking cow's breast milk out of your life. It will change your life for the better. Okay, so that's all on calcium. So the last nutrient is iron. And this is another one that I think a lot of people think that if they are not eating meat, they're not eating red meat, that they are going to be iron deficient. I don't know where this myth comes from either, because it's just not true. Like, you can get iron from plant-based sources. Yes, there's heme iron, there's non-heme iron. And there's some sources that say that non-heme iron isn't absorbed as well. But you can increase the absorption by eating foods with vitamin C. So kind of pairing food that has vitamin C with the iron. And there's also iron supplementation. And I found that whether you're iron deficient is more a reflection of like your age. Like if you're a menstruating female, you're more likely to be iron deficient, regardless of whether you're plant-based or not. And again, iron is another blood test that you can check. Easy. You can also check your hemoglobin. That's something that should be checked at least once a year at your primary care doctor's office. You know, that's what I get checked for myself. And so I'm just kind of sharing the information with you that these are blood tests that you can get checked so you can make informed, educated decisions about your iron levels, your vitamin D, your vitamin B12. So that's something to discuss with your primary doctor as well. And the signs of iron deficiency, you know, fatigue, or signs of anemia, if it gets that severe, would be shortness of breath, fatigue, sometimes dizziness, and things like that. So hopefully this was helpful. And then lastly, I want to share the sources of iron with you. If you're like, well, how can I get some iron on my plant-based diet? I got you, not to worry. So you want to look at foods like the foods that have the highest sources tend to be the beans. So all different beans, and you can just eat a variety of different beans. Lentils, black beans, chickpeas are good sources. Peas, kidney beans, and then also spinach, pistachios. And then dried fruits tend to be good sources of iron, like apricots, raisins, as well as seeds like pumpkin seeds, cashews, oatmeal, whole grains, and enriched cereals. So you can get all of these nutrients, iron, you can get calcium on your plant-based diet, but it does take being a little bit more conscious, mindful, reading nutrition labels, ingredient labels, and different things like that. But you'll be good. Plant-based diet is healthy. You can be healthy and get all of your nutrients on a plant-based diet. You may need to supplement vitamin B12 for sure. We'll definitely likely need to supplement. And then you may or may not need to supplement vitamin D, iron, and omega-3. But again, vitamin D deficiency is pretty common, especially in people of color, regardless of their diet. So that's not really related to being plant-based per se. So again, hopefully this was helpful. We'd love if you would subscribe to the channel. If you found this video helpful, feel free to share it with someone who you know can benefit. And if there's any other topics that you would like me to do a video on, feel free to comment below in the comments, or you can send me an email. We'll have all the links to my website and my email and Facebook, Instagram, and all that. So thank you so much and be well. And I will see you in the next episode. Bye.